Hello and welcome to Mr. Timeline. I am your host Joseph, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 comedies. As always, this is my personal preference, my personal list. If you like what you see here, please like, subscribe. And on that note, the thing that makes comedies really good for me is if they cause me to remember them after I see them. Like I remember the jokes and I remember lines from the movie. That's usually how I determine if a movie for me is good, especially comedies, because comedies don't age well, sadly. But these are legendary comedies that I thoroughly enjoy, and I think you will too. So without further ado, here's your top 10 comedies. Number 10, Spies Like Us. This movie came out in the 80s during the height of the Cold War, and is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. You have Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase as bumbling buffoons who are selected as spies as decoys to stop a potential Russian missile launch site. And one of the goofiest movies ever. There's great dialogue, great moments of true humor where you're just dying laughing. And this film also boasts a pretty phenomenal cast on its own as well. It's got Bruce Davidson as Senator. It's got the legendary director Terry Gilliam actually has a small part as a nameless government spy. It is definitely a John Landis film. You can tell that because it was directed by him, but you can tell that in the opening credits, the use of music. And it's a lot of fun. The story centers around Chevy Chase as a son of a diplomat who has been in a low area job of the State Department. And he's wanting to move up to actual field work and intel, like being an actual envoy. And he tries to sleep his way to getting the answer to the test, and he ends up cheating and gets caught. Dan Aykroyd also is wanting to become a spy, but he is kept in the lowest rung of the computer corps at the CIA, and the Pentagon, and he is recruited or has been kept there by his boss, Navy commander, and he finds out at the last minute that the test he needs to take, the date has been moved up. So he is trying to do the test when Chevy Chase comes in and acts like a complete fool to cheat. And they start working together, and they get brought in as decoys. And then the real spies are also trying to complete their mission. It's a lot of fun, has some great moments. The main moment that sticks out for me is during a rescue attempt, where there's a bunch of funny moments in that one. So please, Spice Like Us, number 10, you gotta watch it. I think you would enjoy it. Number 9, another John Landis film, Coming to America. Not the sequel that just came out on Amazon, but the original Coming to America from the 80s, starring Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. This one is definitely a fun movie, fish out of water film. It's a lot of fun. Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall do a great job playing multiple characters. This is one of the few first times you really got to see them embrace that. Eddie Murphy, who had, by the time had started to kind of have his career going on fast track, had just left SNL, and he really honed his comedic skills on SNL, especially the various different characters he can portray. He would later use that again in The Nutty Professor and its sequel, but here he really shines, and he has a lot of fun with the part. Of course, it's got James Earl Jones. Samuel L. Jackson has an early role in this. It's definitely a product of the 80s, but it's a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend it. Number 8, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Now, this is one of my personal favorites. I read the books. I laid up. My wife did not like it, but I loved it. I thought it was one of my favorite movies. Basically, Earth gets destroyed to make way for an intergalactic bypass, and average human is brought along in this crazy adventure. The film boasts a pretty good cast. Martin Freeman, who is most notably known now for his work on Sherlock, as well as the MCU, does a great job in this as the main character, Arthur Dent. Mos Def plays Ford Prefect. He's a fun character. The real shining character of the film is Sam Rockwell as Zaphod Beeblebrox, the two-headed, three-armed president of the galaxy. And it's a lot of fun. It makes fun of your standard tropes of science fiction, and has a lot of fun with it. After you watch this movie, you will now know when your nerdy friends say 42 as an answer to everything. Whenever someone says something, they just randomly say 42, you'll know why. So Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Number 7, Dracula, Dead and Loving It. This is one of several Mel Brooks films that are going to be on this list. This one is definitely a fun movie. Definitely a really lighthearted send-up of the Dracula film from the 1930s. Leslie Nielsen has a lot of fun with the part. I think this is the first time he actually worked with Mel Brooks, and he really just truly enjoys playing the part. This is also I believe the second film Amy Asbeck did with Mel Brooks, the other one being Robin Hood Men in Tights. And overall, it's just a fun movie. It's also got Steven Weber. Mel Brooks is actually in it as another character. He always plays at least somebody in his movies. The late Harvey Korman comes back to do another film with Mel Brooks as Dr. Seward. And it's a lot of fun. Some of the best gags, though, play up the fact that, they're fighting a vampire. And they play up those gags. One of the Mel Brooks is really good with doing the running gags. And he has one that takes place throughout the whole movie where they're trying to get the last word, Dracula and Van Helsing. And it is a lot of fun. Also, the hypnosis scene, trying to hypnotize Mina, is one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen. Definitely recommend the film. Dracula, Dead and Loving It. Number 6. Another John Landis film, Trading Places. This one definitely plays up the Prince and the Pauper idea, but with a lot more humor. Dan Aykroyd plays a wealthy Wall Street broker who works for this big Wall Street brokerage firm, Duke and Duke. And the Dukes wanted to do an experiment where they they put someone of a broken home into a position of privilege, and while bringing the person of privilege down to the poverty level. What's really good about this is when you meet Eddie Murphy, and you have a lot of fun with him initially, and then it just escalates from there. What's a lot of fun about this movie is it definitely plays up the concept and just has fun with it. The vice principal from The Breakfast Club, he's in it. And overall, it's a lighthearted, fun movie. Watching Dan Aykroyd strangle Eddie Murphy is one of my favorite moments. But I definitely tell you to check it out. Trading Places. Number 5, Blazing Saddles. Now, Blazing Saddles, I have to say, don't take it too seriously. It's gonna make jokes that you're probably gonna find maybe a little bit offensive. But don't take it too seriously. It's a lot of fun. The performances are great. Harvey Korman is great as the villain. This is one of several films he did with Mel Brooks. Did quite a few with him. Also, there's a great moment involving Madeline Kahn that just kills the movie, just makes you die laughing. Gene Wilder's great in it. So yes, Blazing Saddles. Number 4, Animal House. This is definitely a movie that you can sit there and quote and enjoy no matter when. It's just so much fun. The film centers around a college, obviously. I mean, doesn't know what Animal House is about, but and then a rivalry between two fraternities. The main Animal House fraternity, I cannot remember the fraternity's name because I didn't care. It was too much fun watching everything else. But the characters are great. The real stealer of the show is, of course, John Belushi. John Belushi has so much fun with the part and has such a blast playing Bluto that you cannot help but enjoy watching it. So definitely recommend Animal House. You have a lot of fun with it. Number 3, History of the World Part 1. This is one of my favorite Mel Brooks films. It centers around like multiple periods of history, but done with the typical oddball humor that Mel Brooks displays in his films. The self-depreciating humor and everything. So the biggest winner of the story for me is the stuff that happens during the French Revolution, and the standout number is the Spanish Inquisition musical number, done to such a degree that it's a lot of fun. Mel Brooks, you could tell, is having a blast doing it. In that he plays Takamata. If you don't know your history, look him up. He's a terrible human being, but Mel Brooks plays him with this panache and this whole musical number. Like at one point, there's like dancing nuns, like in this big, like huge set piece involving spinning stuff, and they form a menorah. It's a lot of fun. I recommend it. History of the World Part 1. Number 2, Shrek. And I'm going to go and cheat a little bit and say both Shrek 1 and 2. Mainly because the third and the fourth one I really didn't enjoy as much. Because they kind of lost a lot of the adult humor that was sprinkled in and focused solely on kids, which is fine. But the first two had plenty of jokes for adults, especially when I went and saw it when I was 18, I think. 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there. And it's a lot of fun. The humor is definitely aimed at a mix of kids and adults. There's some silly humor that definitely kids would enjoy, but the big ones for me are the adult jokes where I was going, hey, I know that reference. I get it. The film has a great vocal cast in both films. The first film features, of course, Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, as well as John Lithgow. And then the second film boasts an even bigger cast of actors. Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots. Judi Dench as... or not Judi Dench. Sound of Music. I can't think of the woman's name now. She also is in Princess Diaries. Man, I wish I knew her name. And John Cleese as the king, Fiona's parents. It's done in such a way where it's a lot of fun. Also, Dr. Claw from the Inspector Gadget movie. I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Yeah, for some reason those names are escaping me, so I do apologize. But it's a lot of fun. Definitely doesn't take itself too seriously, but it also plays up the whole pop culture stuff. It really does play those up. In the first one, the Magic Mirror is doing a whole dating show riff, which is absolutely hilarious. And the second one, you have parodies of Hollywood with Far, Far Away. It's great. It is a fun movie, fantastic movie. Definitely recommend it to anybody at this point, who hasn't seen Shrek. And number 1, The Blues Brothers. This is another John Landis film, but it's actually based off of a Saturday Night Live skit. The film stars Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi as the eponymous Blues Brothers. Jake has just been released from prison, from Joliet State Prison in Joliet, Illinois. Not far from where I grew up. And it's a lot of fun in the terms of you got some great moments that just stand out. You got some great musical performances in it. You have, a lot of blues and rock legends make an appearance in it. You have John Lee Hooker. He's in it. You have Ray Charles, James Brown, the legendary James Brown. You have Aretha Franklin. You have some other famous people from the period. Carrie Fisher is in it as Jake's fiance. You also have John Candy is in it. The guy who played the main antagonist of the Burbs, which we'll talk about in a later later video. But the real standout, though, is a lot of the performances. This is definitely a musical-related movie because there's a lot of songs in it. And some of the actors do come back for the sequel around the 2000s. Sadly, a lot of the vocal talents and actors had already passed away. Like John Candy had passed away in the late 90s. And Cab Calloway, who is in it as well, he passed away, I believe, in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was after the film had come out. This film is also a little bit infamous. It actually caused so much property damage when they were filming it that the mayor of Chicago at the time lost her job over it because of just how much craziness was involved in making the movie. But those voters were agreeing that. And it's got some great moments. It really does. And special shout out to the actor who plays the leader of the band, the Good Old Boys, who's a country western band in the movie. The leader of the band of that is actually the guy who played the coach, the villain coach in The Waterboy, and also played the other driver in Smokey and the Bandit. So it's a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. One of the best moments for me is when you have the at the time the movie came out, there was a whole thing about like Illinois Nazis, which hopefully I don't get demonetized for saying that. But they're flying in the air because a car went off a ramp, and the guy looks at the other one and goes, "I always loved you," right before the crash. But it's a lot of fun. Also, just to let you know, no one dies. So the car wreck's destruction. No one actually dies. So it's not meant to be taken seriously. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my personal favorite movies. The music is great. The story is fun. Highly recommend it. And if you enjoy it, the sequel is definitely recommended. It's not as good as the original because it's missing that John Belushi charm. But it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. It's one of those films that when you watch it, you're going to sit there and go, this is fun. I'm having fun. So with that said, that's my top 10 comedies. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, like, subscribe, and put in a comment in the comment section. I would love to hear your opinions. If you have any ideas, I'd love to listen to them. With that being said, all I need to say on this is y'all have a great day. Y'all have a great day and keep watching TV and movies. Bye for now.